You remember the First Step Act. That bill became law earlier this year, and the intent, and we heard this from a lot of people over a number of weeks, was to slice time off the sentences of federal prisoners, nonviolent federal prisoners, so they could get reintegrated back into society more quickly. Only nonviolent offenders are going to be helped by this law. We were told that again and again. But like so many things we're told here in Washington, that turned out to be a lie, a flat-out lie. One of our guests called it. Watch.
Good intentions sometimes have nothing to do with actual consequences. We were told that this would only allow low-level, nonviolent criminals to go free. In the first tranche of prisoners let free, 500 committed weapons or explosive crimes, 250 committed sex crimes. I think there were 60 or 70 that were guilty of homicide or aggravated assault. And those are not low-level, nonviolent criminals.
Well, it didn't even take a year, and now what may have been inevitable has finally happened. Someone has died because of this. Joel Francisco was the head of a street gang called the Almighty Latin Kings. He was serving a life sentence for trafficking in narcotics. Then he was sprung from prison under the First Step Act. Now, as of tonight, he is wanted for murder of a man in Providence, Rhode Island. Grady Judd is the sheriff of Polk County, Florida, a beautiful county. He joins us tonight. Sheriff, thanks so much for coming on. Are you surprised by this?
No, I'm not surprised at all, Tucker. I was involved with the First Step Act trying to stop it. And we were being pressured by the Democrats, by the Republicans, and by the White House, all to pass this law. And we warned them. We weren't prophets, but we knew when you let violent criminals out of jail, they murder, rape, and rob. And that's what we saw here.
But they told, I mean, we spent an awful lot of time talking about this legislation before it became a law, and we were told again and again, the only people who are getting out of jail are people who are there because they were caught with a joint in high school and sentenced to life in prison. Not a single violent person's getting out. Were we dumb to believe that?
Tucker, I can tell you that they intentionally misled the people of the United States. There was arm twisting. Not only arm twisting, they twisted arms off all the way to the shoulder to get this passed. We warned them there would be murders. In fact, this person that they're seeking for murder out of Rhode Island now has already had 2 arrests in just the 8 months since he's been released from custody.
So of all the things that you could twist arms to get done, and both parties, as you said, were in favor of this, why would you spend all of that time and capital politically getting violent prisoners out of prison earlier? I don't understand.
I don't understand at all, but Jared Kushner is the one that masterminded and pushed this legislation through. I think that the president was misled. I don't believe the president believed or knew that violent criminals were going to be turned back onto society, or he wouldn't have signed that bill. But that's not what he was told either. And as a result, you see what we have. And there's going to be more murderers by these folks turned out because they were never low-level, nonviolent offenders. Anybody who traffics in drugs is a dangerous person.
Well, of course, in the middle of the worst drug epidemic in American history, where hundreds of thousands have died, more than have died in any war since World War II, and we're letting people out of jail early. I think it's bizarre. Sheriff Judd, thanks so much for coming on tonight from Polk County, Florida.
Thank you, Ted.